stop it. They were pushed off the case. The state police tried to stop it. They were told stand down.
Yep.
I mean, my point is that, so you know about it. I mean, how big is this empire of satanic pedophiles from your research?
It is one son of a bitchin' big empire, and just amazes me how accurate I was way back then, and things that have come out, and I think it just is unreal. And so I'm going back and reading my own book again. You know, it was a New York Times bestseller, and 2 other books were written, which basically copied it after that. But the Franklin cover-up was the name of the book, and just I had some other things I was going to tell you, but damn, they slipped my mind. So
now, Senator, let me stop you right there. Specifically, though, looking at the Penn State situation, you got Sandusky now convicted of raping children at high noon, in the middle of the day, in the afternoon, in the public showers. The fact that now even the former FBI director's own research says the entire top staff knew, covered it up. That makes them accomplices. Local print and local radio, the guy that finally pushed this out to break it, last year, they have said that the word is, we played these clips here from the news, the word is that there was all sorts of this going on, and they were doing this and pimping the children out. Well, that's what...
Sandusky was not the only one. He's the only one today being convicted or whatever, or charged, but that was just like happened in Nebraska. They covered up. Tried to cover up for the police chief, but I finally exposed him completely, and he tried to sue me then in the different states he went to and got ahead of their police force for the state and so on, and each time he got fired.
I don't know the specifics of that, but I mean, tell us about the convictions that have happened. Tell us about Larry King briefly, and then whatever you can remember, because I know you also
I have a judgment against Larry King for $1 million. The same trial that I was the first one in the whole United States to sue the Catholic Church and some priests was the case I won the $1 million judgment. But they dismissed the Catholic Church because they said this is just absurd to accuse these priests of this. The priests.
That's right. You were one of the first in the. I mean, how many?
I was the first case in the United States, and I ended up winning $1 million judgment after trial, and then trial just separately on the damages, and I won $1 million. Well, actually, $1,200,000 for the kid who was just one of the kids.
But, sir, specifically, Larry King, the guy that sung the Star-Spangled Banner at the Republican National Convention, Republican pimp, he went to jail, too.
Oh, yeah, but then he got out after a couple years because you still had the cover-up going big time in Nebraska. That's when I wrote the book and just said, same old thing. The people in very high-up places, from judges to police chiefs to others who are participating in the use of these children. I mean, I couldn't believe it. One of the first things I did when I started investigating it, just after I got out of being a senator, I represented a little girl, and I couldn't believe it because I had written publicly in all the newspapers in Nebraska, I'm the first one to say I can't believe any of these things. They're so preposterous, these kids' stories. I said, but I will check into it, and I've agreed to represent this one girl who they're trying to prosecute because she was just a little girl then, and she was telling her stories, and so they were prosecuting her, or wanting to put her in an institution instead of the people that she had accused. And, oh, God, it's just strange.
Senator DeCamp, can we be specific here? Tell us how you were first. The Republicans first came to you and said, well, you're saying this isn't true. We want you to investigate because it was going to the top of the Republican Party. I mean, and then what happened?
I said, I am investigating because I don't believe it. And I had gotten out of being the Senate, even though it happened while I was there. And
okay, tell people what happened to your investigator.
Oh, he got killed. He got murdered. he and his son in an airplane, and just on and on and on. It's an insane story. My book is on Amazon.com now, you know, even though I sold it myself by the tens and hundreds of thousands of books. But then it went on Amazon.com here about, 2 years ago maybe, and it's on Amazon.com now, called The Franklin Cover-Up. And it's kind of funny because, you know, there was so many people in key high places covering this up, right up into the Congress. I named people there. And
I understand, and you've always won in the suits, but just to be general here, from your research all over the country, you called Boys Town before it was in the news. You called the Catholic priest thing, saying there was a network in there 20 years ago.
Yep. Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Pennsylvania. I mean, you went to Pennsylvania. You investigated. I understand you've gotten older and don't remember all this.
I mentioned that on your program, I think, about 10 years ago.
Yes, and I asked you not to talk about it because I didn't want to get sued. But now you've been proven right again, yes.
Okay, listen, I got to run now, and we'll do that hour-long program next Tuesday. And I'll have a good phone and a good location then, so I'm ready.
Sure, I understand you had an emergency, but just briefly, from your nationwide research, what's the percentage, if you had to dead reckon, I mean, how big is this network, this cult?
It's pretty good size, and it involves usually very high-up people who, as I said in my book, the system protects itself. For example, if police chief kind of pulls somebody off of something, and a judge kind of gets influenced or pressured to throw out the case, and so on and so forth. It just is beyond anything. I never believed any of it. I went public and said this all has to be make-believe. I'm the first one to tell you it can't be true, but I am going to look into it just so I can prove it.
And you said that, and documented, Satanism sits on top of it. So, I mean, if, say, 20%...
So frequently that is involved. It's satanic cult stuff. Now, I can't believe it, but it's true.
All right. Well, listen, I know you're going in for surgery next week, so do you promise I can get you on...
Wednesday morning, so you got to do it Tuesday, or otherwise you got to wait another week till after I get back from surgery.
One final comment. We lost a guy who helped you fight a lot of tyranny, former FBI Southern California L.A. director, Ted Gunderson. I know that you'd worked a lot...
Funny you should mention that. He was one of them that didn't believe anything either, and then when he got involved so deep, guess what? He was second in command of the FBI, and he moved here to Nebraska and lived with me and worked with me and died here a while ago, not very long ago now. What is it, a year and a half?
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Yep. He was one great guy. As I say, he gave up everything after he went to retirement from the FBI and moved to Nebraska, lived in one of my houses. I'll tell you lots more when we talk next week, okay? I promise.
All right. Thank you so much. Sorry you had that emergency. We'll talk for a full hour next Monday or Tuesday, hopefully on Skype. Thank you, Senator John DeCamp.
Got it.
Thank you. Yeah, folks, most of the old interviews are being pulled. We don't have a big crew, a big staff. But if everybody can go find the Alex Jones interviews, Senator John DeCamp interviews, there's probably 6 or 7 of them out there. I remember the interviews. And when I saw the Red Dirt Report with quotes of him years ago talking about stuff, I went and looked and tried to find some of them, and I can't remember which interviews it was, but I remember him going, the Catholic Church, Boys Town, Penn State, Pennsylvania, how he traveled to Pennsylvania. And obviously, I knew that, you know, he was in lawsuits with people that had been convicted of this stuff, and they were still suing. And, of course, he's won 3 of those. He's won them all. So I was like, whoa, let's not get into... Because even though I knew he was a credible guy, imagine you're hearing Penn State football program. So we've got to dig that audio up of that radio show. It was multiple interviews with Senator John DeCamp. 15 years ago, 12 years ago, 10. I haven't interviewed DeCamp probably in 6 years or so because it's very dangerous to interview him. It's one of the things you start getting death threats over. And it's not that I'm even scared of those. It's just something that People aren't ready to believe, but maybe now they are. I mean, the dead bodies dumped outside Bohemian Grove, the little kids getting grabbed. These are monsters, ladies and gentlemen. These are monsters. And, you know, DeCamp said he was going to go public and disprove it. And he hired a well-known retired police detective who was a well-known private investigator. They blew his plane up. They killed a bunch of other people. I mean, they were killing them left and right. The FBI came in and took all the police investigation photos of what was being run by these people. And you find out about this stuff. There's a reason you don't want a big government. And there's a reason you don't want it to have this national security stuff. I mean, look at the UN. Type in UN sex trade, UN child sex trade. I mean, it's literally thousands of BBC, Reuters, New York Times, but it's like back of the paper. I mean, there are photos all over the web of the UN torturing small children to death, roasting them over fires. You think I'm joking, just type UN torturing children. And you're like, why, though? It's because they like it. I mean, this is what they do, and they have diplomatic immunity. And God help us, because, you know, right here, I mean, so much. When I get to camp on for a full hour next week, I will get into all that. But he knew about the Texas Youth Commission. I mean, I remember like 5 years ago when the Texas Youth Commission stuff came out, it was like judges and police and the locals would go to the big juvenile justice centers and go pick the kid out they wanted, and they were having gladiatory battles, and this was admitted, and then no one got in trouble. I mean, what? Can you imagine pulling up to a juvenile justice thing with a bunch of kids you've grabbed, most cases for no reason, and then these weirdos go creeping around and go into the different jail cells, and then no one gets in trouble? It's a child brothel. And that came out in the state police reports. That came out with the witnesses and all of it, and then just got shut down. Just got completely shut down. And the state police and the old culture they had here in Texas were more friendly and professional. Now you go down to the Capitol, a lot of them are so rude, so hateful. It's like being in D.C. or something. They want you to know you're scum. And I've talked to some of the old timers. I said, man, things have changed. They said, yeah, and I can't even talk to you. You bet they've changed. This country's been taken over by evil. I mean, folks, I hate to get back on this subject over and over again, but 50+ million, 51, 52 million babies have been killed in this country. Over 1 million of them just in the last decade who were 7, 8, 9 months. I mean, they could deliver the baby. No one tells the woman, hey, there's a huge line, you know, for kids of any color, you know, race, for people that want to adopt them. No one even tells them, oh, there are charities that will pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars to have the child and then adopt it out to a good family. That's why people that are adopting import children. No one tells them that there's actually more people that want to adopt than that are having abortions, because they've got that quota to kill kids. I mean, we kill kids and say they're not humans. A government that's into this, a system that's into this, these are sick people. And the average grassroots person says, oh, it's not a human, it's just my choice. They're not consciously evil, but they're involved in something massively corrupt. And if you've been involved in that, as long as you are sorry for it, and try to wake up others. I understand you've got guilt out